Before we get started with today's Local Government News Roundup, some news from the VLGA. Registrations are now open for Fast Track 2026, the VLGA's national one-day annual conference focused on incivility and its threat to local democracy. This event will bring together stakeholders from across the local government sector to address the rise of incivility in public discourse and its impact on democratic processes. It will explore how hostile behaviour, misinformation and the erosion of respectful dialogue threatens the effectiveness, safety and integrity of local governance. Participants will examine the causes of incivility, its consequences for elected representatives, council staff and civic engagement, and examine practical strategies for fostering respectful communication and resilience in the face of hostility. Book before December 31 and secure early bird prices. To register or find out more, visit the events page of the VLGA website at vlga.org.au. Coming up, Victoria's mayoral election season is over as the last council makes an historic decision. Albury Council's CEO takes unplanned leave amid a financial crisis. Maitland votes to return a historic jail to the government. The city of Perth's dysfunction escalates. Bass Coast launches a petition to secure the MotoGP beyond next year. The reason behind a country mayor's resignation revealed. And Redland City Mayor's scathing attack leaves officers in tears. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. This is the Local Government News Roundup. Also today, Kuala Lumpur's first woman mayor removed after 16 months, and a reprieve for flannelette shirts in orange. This podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Hello to you, wherever you're listening across Australia or indeed around the world. It's good to have you with us for the Local Government News Roundup. It's Friday, the 12th of December. Heading our Victorian Roundup today, Councillor Gareth Graham has shed light on his decision to resign as Mayor of Alpine Shire Council just days after his election to the role. Councillor Graham cited a lack of preparedness for the complex governance responsibilities following mandatory mayoral training in Melbourne. He said the community deserves a leader fully equipped to meet any challenge. He will continue serving as a councillor, and the position of mayor will need to be filled through a new vote by the council. No announcement has been made as of the time of recording about that, but I do note that the council is due to meet next Tuesday. Now, that of course means our final list is not quite final, with that Alpine Shire mayoralty hanging in the balance. Frankston City Council was to be the final council to conduct mayoral elections this year. They elected their new leadership team this week, and Councillor Sue Baker, in her second term on the council, takes over the mayoralty from Councillor Chris Bolam. She'll be supported by Councillor Sherry Wannott in the Deputy Mayor position. With the impending arrival of new CEO Tennille Bradley, it also marks the first time the city will be led by an all-female leadership team. Councillor Baker's election as mayor at Frankston brings the number of female mayors to 33 around the state, representing 42% of the state's 78 mayors and one chief administrator, of course, at Moira. We'll see what happens at Alpine Shire as they now become the final council to elect a mayor. Councillor Sarah Nicholas is currently acting mayor. She is the deputy, and that would bring the number of female mayors to 34 if she was to secure that role for another year. Now let's look at some other news. On Wednesday, Hepburn Shire Council closed the Creswick Hub after 3 separate incidents of threatening behaviour and intimidation of frontline staff. The incidents occurred on different days this week, involving the same staff members, who were said to be very shaken by the incidents. The council said while the majority of the community is respectful, behaviour of this kind against council staff is occurring too often from a select few who cross the line. It apologised for the inconvenience ahead of reopening the hub on Thursday afternoon. Stonington City Council has unanimously voted to install a menorah on the balcony at Stonington City Centre for Hanukkah. The decision follows an earlier deferral to allow for more discussion, which was seen by some as a failure to provide support in a time of rising anti-Semitism. The council has also endorsed a Hanukkah carnival, including a ceremonial candle lighting at Malvern Gardens on December 16. Mayor Melina Sear says the decision reflects values of inclusion, respect and community connection central to Stonnington. The council will also develop a new civic recognition policy in the first half of next year to provide broader recognition of cultural festivals. At Mornington Peninsula Shire, a bid to revoke a new planning matters policy has failed in a tied 5-5 vote, according to the Mornington News. Councillor David Gill attempted to have the policy decision overturned, arguing it was rushed through with insufficient public scrutiny and restricts councillors' ability to raise planning matters with the community. But Deputy Mayor and Meeting Chair Paul Pinjaro cast the deciding vote against the revocation, saying the policy was urgently needed after 4 years without any planning framework. Greater Geelong City Council has refused to permanently add purple glass recycling bins to its waste collection, voting instead for a provisional contract-based service. The Geelong Independent reported that councillors have advocated for expansion of the successful container deposit scheme rather than the state-mandated 4-bin system. The decision puts Geelong alongside 30 other Victorian councils pushing back on the purple bin rollout due to costs and efficiency concerns. In more Geelong news, the council has adopted a new master plan for the Geelong waterfront to guide development and investment in the popular precinct. Priority projects will include artificial reef pods at Western Beach to fight erosion and upgrades to Poppy Kettle Playground, a new basketball and netball area and a reimagining of Cunningham Pier through private partnership. It'll also create a Yarra Street Plaza for outdoor dining and events. An implementation strategy is being prepared with staged delivery and a mix of funding. Darebin City Council will vote on a comprehensive flag policy at its meeting on Monday. The policy aims to provide clear guidelines for flying flags at council sites, including national flags and community-requested flags. The Palestinian flag, currently flying at Preston City Hall, is recommended to remain until the end of February out of consideration for ongoing conflicts. In the meantime, the council proposes to engage with Islamic stakeholders to explore alternative ways to support community cohesion. Bass Coast Shire Council has launched a petition calling on the Victorian Government to secure a long-term contract for the MotoGP at Phillip Island beyond next year. The event has been held at Phillip Island since 1997 and delivered $54.6 million in economic benefit to Victoria in 2023. The race drew more than 71,000 attendees and supported 284 full-time jobs. Mayor Rochelle Halstead has conducted a string of interviews in a media blitz on the issue. The petition has attracted hundreds of signatures in its first day. The council is partnering with regional tourism bodies and neighbouring councils in the campaign. And the former Murtoa kindergarten building has been demolished this week, marking the end of an era for that community. Yarriambiack Shire CEO Tammy Smith said the old facility, which held many fond memories, required significant investment, and it's been replaced by the modern early learning and childcare centre at Murtoa College. The council successfully advocated for state government funding in 2022 to build the new integrated centre. The demolition site will be maintained while the council works with the Murtoa Progress Association to determine a future use for the Crown land. In more news in brief, Swan Hill Mayor Stuart King has taken over as the new chair of the Murray River Group of Councils. That appointment was confirmed this week at the group's meeting in Kerrang at Gannawarra Shire's new Glasshouse venue. Councillor King succeeds Loddon Mayor Dan Straub as the chair. The City of Wyndham has launched a new interactive map displaying ownership and management of roads across the city. The map makes it easy for people to see who's responsible for a particular road, whether it be the council, the state government or a private landowner. And Strathbogie Shire Council is hosting an online session on the 17th of December to help families understand the new social media age restrictions that prevent under-16s from using certain platforms. Mayor Scott Jeffreys said these changes affect many families and highlighted the importance of community support in helping keep young people safe online. Before we leave our Victorian report, a sad note. Darebin City Council is mourning the passing of a former mayor and councillor in Ray Perry AM. Ray served as a councillor from 1998 to 2004 and as mayor in 2004, following a distinguished career as a nurse, midwife and union organiser. She founded the Darebin Women's Advisory Committee and was the first woman elected as national president of the Australian Local Government Association in 2004. Ray was recognised with a member of the Order of Australia in 2020 for her work in Victorian local government. Vale, Ray Perry, AM. Let's head to New South Wales now, and Albury Council's Chief Executive, Frank Zachnich, has reportedly taken unplanned leave weeks after Chief Financial Officer Justin Finlayson resigned after 11 years. The Border Mail reported that the move comes as councillors express shock over the city's financial deficit, which is much higher than the $11 million initially reported. Long-serving councillor Darren Cameron says he's never experienced such a dramatic shift in financial assumptions during his time in local government. Deputy Chief Executive Bridget Leopold has been appointed temporary CEO, while Ryan Hastie has taken over as CFO. Mayor Kevin Mack says the matters are highly sensitive HR issues that cannot be discussed at this time. Maitland City Council has voted to hand back ownership of the iconic Maitland Jail to the New South Wales Government. The council has stopped redevelopment work at the site, which closed last year due to fire and electrical safety concerns. Recent estimates put the cost of restoring the site to modern standards at around $30 million. Council's General Manager Jeff Smith says using ratepayer funds for the restoration is unsustainable given other service delivery priorities. Griffith City Councillor Mark Dalbon can continue wearing flannelette shirts to council meetings after a tied vote on eliminating the business casual dress code requirement. Region Riverina reported Mayor Doug Curran used his casting vote to break the 4-all deadlock in favour of scrapping the dress code. The vote was part of a broader debate on a new meeting code mandated by the New South Wales Government from January. Despite some objections, the new code passed 6-2, with the council planning to write to the Minister about their concerns about some of the mandatory code requirements. Orange City Council has appointed a new Chief Executive Officer. Mayor Tony Miletto announced the appointment of Scott Maunder after a special council meeting held on Tuesday night. Mr Maunder has been the council's Director of Community, Recreational and Cultural Services for 13 years. Mr Maunder replaces Barry Omundson, who's been the council's interim CEO since August. The vacancy was created by the decision of David Waddell not to seek a contract extension in March after 6 years in the position. The Sydney Morning Herald has reported on resistance from 2 Sydney councils to a state government plan to build more than 9,000 homes in Cherrybrook near the metro station. Hills Shire Council has unanimously rejected the proposal, and Hornsby Shire Council supports the development in principle but wants fewer homes and guarantees on infrastructure funding. The plan would see building heights reach 28 storeys in the town centre. Planning Minister Paul Scully says the precinct is crucial for restoring housing choice in Sydney. The Newcastle Herald reports that Port Stephens Council is pushing for a high-speed rail stop at Newcastle Airport as part of the proposed Newcastle to Sydney line. It's been described as a game changer that would benefit tourism, business and families across the Hunter region. The council will write to Federal MP Meryl Swanson and Infrastructure Minister Catherine King seeking support for the airport location. Midwestern Council has caught illegal dumpers on camera at its rural waste transfer stations, which are meant only for out-of-town residents without curbside collection. General Manager Brad Cam said illegal dumping was never acceptable, especially when the council's waste facilities in Mudgee, Gulgong and Kandos are free to use for household goods. The incident, in which a range of bulky items was dumped, including a large satellite dish, is under investigation, with potential fines incurred of up to $25,000 for individuals and $50,000 for corporations. The City of Parramatta has revealed plans for a new aquatic and leisure centre, recreation facilities and community hub in Epping. West Epping Park and Cox Park have been identified as potential locations for the aquatic centre. The council plans to reopen the existing Dents Park pool in the short to medium term, subject to state government funding. And once the new permanent aquatic centre is built, Dents Park will be transformed into an outdoor recreational precinct. Lord Mayor Martin Zater says the analysis ensures future investment reflects the community's needs now and in the future. Rounding up more New South Wales Council news, Kempsey Shire is undertaking urgent work on Norfolk Island pine trees at Southwest Rocks. Large seed clusters have developed rapidly this year due to optimal growing conditions, posing a safety hazard to the public. North Sydney Council will hold an extraordinary meeting on January 19 to consider a proposed special rate variation. It aims to restore financial sustainability and service resilience for the council, which is expecting a strong turnout from interested observers. There will be overflow seating with live streaming in Hutley Hall for those who can't fit in the main chambers. And the organisers of Kiama's Jazz and Blues Festival have announced the event will not proceed next year, a decision Kiama Council Mayor Cameron McDonald described as disappointing for the community. He said the council had recently approved a $7,000 grant for the event, and it's exploring alternative events or modified programs. This is the Local Government News Roundup for Friday the 12th of December, edition number 528, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, with just 2 episodes left for the year of VLGA Connect. Look out for today's episode dropping on YouTube and podcast, in which I speak with Karen Ellis and Dan Nicholson from the Victorian Ombudsman's Office about the recently released report into flood risk at 2 housing estates in Melbourne. That interview and much more coming up in today's edition of VLGA Connect from the Victorian Local Governance Association. Time for our Queensland report, and Townsville City Council will need to appoint a new deputy mayor after Councillor Anne-Marie Graney officially stood down from the role after this week's ordinary council meeting. Mayor Nick Demetto thanked his fellow councillor for her time in the role over the last 12 months, serving as acting mayor of Townsville during what he described as a tumultuous time in local government. A special council meeting will be held today, Friday at 1:30pm, where councillors will vote to appoint a new deputy. It's been reported that Redland City Council officers were left in tears after Mayor Jos Mitchell delivered a scathing attack on the new corporate plan during its adoption debate. The Redland Bayside News reported that Mayor Mitchell voted against the 5-year plan, citing poor engagement with young residents and lack of detail under the plan's 5 pillars. Fellow councillors hit back, claiming she'd failed to attend workshops and provided no feedback during development of the plan. That Toowoomba Council parking strategy I told you about in our last episode has already been put on the back burner after fierce community backlash. The plan would have forced schools and sporting clubs to manage parking during peak times, with teachers expected to monitor drop-off zones. The Toowoomba Chronicle reported that councillors this week have now voted to defer the strategy, reversing an earlier 6-5 vote to proceed at committee. The Queensland Teachers Union slammed the proposal as ill-conceived, saying policing parking isn't a teacher's job. Council will now hold a workshop in February to explore alternative reforms, including pay-by-plate technology and improved lighting at car parks. Fraser Coast Regional Council is offering major discounts on infrastructure charges to encourage diverse housing and unlock development in slower areas. Eligible townhouses, dual occupancies and aged care facilities in residential zones will receive a 75% discount on fees. A separate 27% discount applies to new residential subdivisions in Maryborough and surrounding towns, cutting the cost per lot from $34,500 to around $25,000. The 2-year incentive package starts in January. And Burdekin Shire Council is making similar moves. It's adopted a new economic stimulus policy for development incentives aimed at reducing infrastructure charges. The policy establishes a transparent process for assessing fee reduction applications and supports the council's corporate plan objectives of fostering business growth, attracting investment and increasing housing availability. Mackay Regional Council has extended its partnership with the Gold Coast Suns Football Club through to 2028, following news of a massive development windfall. Property developer Certainty Wealth will invest over $500 million in the region, creating 1,100 residential lots after being introduced to Mackay through a Sun's business delegation in 2024. Since 2019, the Sun's partnership has boosted AFL participation by 15% in Mackay, with female participation up 20%. And Cairns is preparing for a landmark year, with the council endorsing the official program for Cairns Celebrates 150 Years. The celebrations kick off on New Year's Eve with a family concert. More than 80 events delivered by council, community groups and local organisations will roll out throughout the year, with additional activities to be added. Lots more news from around the country. In Tasmania, Burnie City Council has unanimously approved the Haybridge Converter Station for the Marinus Link project, despite fierce community opposition. The facility will serve as Tasmania's gateway for a 1,500 megawatt undersea cable to Victoria. Residents have raised concerns about noise, visual impact and the site's toxic legacy from the former thioxide factory. Mayor Teeny Brumby and one other councillor declared a conflict of interest and did not participate in the vote, according to a report from the Mercury. The Examiner reports that Launceston councillors were last night set to decide on a new 2026 meeting schedule that separates planning decisions into dedicated monthly sessions. The proposal scales back ordinary council meetings to once every 4 weeks, down from the current 3-weekly schedule. 13 planning authority meetings would be held in intervening weeks, open to the public and focused solely on development applications. Council officers say the new format will cut the number of closed-door workshops as well. In South Australia, Martin Kennedy has been elected as the new councillor for Muddler Wirra Ward on Light Regional Council. The former senior sergeant brings 40 years of police service and extensive community leadership experience to the role. He's a local resident of more than 2 decades and currently serves on multiple local boards, and Mayor Bill Close says his governance and leadership experience will be a great asset to the region. The City of Charles Sturt has joined Welcoming Cities, a national network supporting councils to build inclusive communities. Mayor Angela Evans says the move reinforces the city's commitment to ensuring everyone feels valued and belongs. The initiative strengthens the council's focus on cultural diversity and social connections. In WA, the ongoing turmoil at the City of Perth is making headline news. 7 News this week reported claims from the council's CEO, Michelle Reynolds, that the new Lord Mayor, Bruce Reynolds, was behind a plot to remove her through the now abandoned $125,000 cultural review. The Local Government Minister, Hannah Beazley, has expressed concerns about the dysfunction at the council, referring the matter to the incoming Local Government Inspector, who begins work on the 1st of January. South Perth Council will vote next week on formally opposing the state government's $217 million Burswood racetrack project. Councillor Andre Brenda Abrandis warns the development could bring more hooning and antisocial behaviour to South Perth. The City of Perth and the town of Victoria Park have already rejected the plans, but WA Today reports the government is pressing ahead, recently tendering for a hospitality provider despite community opposition. Cockburn Council has voted to adopt a new planning policy to protect trees on private land and enhance the city's tree canopy. Nearly 80% of residents who responded to consultation supported the policy, which requires development approval before removing or damaging regulated trees, including those 8 metres tall or taller. It now awaits approval from the WA Planning Commission and the Minister for Planning. That could take some months. And the Shire of Laverton CEO Phil Marshall has given notice of his intention to step down late next year, by which time he'll have served more than 8 years in the role. His current contract expires in April 2027. Mr Marshall said he's flagged his intentions now to give the council suitable time and clear air to conduct a recruitment process and ensure a smooth transition. He'll finish with the Shire on the 23rd of November next year. Time for the Global Report. In New Zealand, Hamilton City Council is hunting for savings to meet government rate capping targets, but councillors say staff jobs are mostly safe, according to the Waikato Times. They say the focus will be on cutting external spending like consultants and contractors, rather than core services. Napier Council's new Mayor Richard McGrath has failed in his bid to strip voting rights from Maori committee members on council standing committees. Councillor McGrath admitted to minimal consultation before proposing the change at only his second full council meeting. Stuff reported that more than 40 members of the public attended, including Maori leaders, but the Mayor refused to let them speak. Wellington City Council will reconsider options for the iconic city-to-sea bridge following government reforms to earthquake-prone building standards. The council had previously voted to demolish and replace the bridge, which is connected to the earthquake-prone Capital E building. It's now believed the reforms may allow for greater flexibility in strengthening options. In Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur's first woman mayor has left her post after just 16 months, sparking renewed calls for elected mayors in Malaysia's capital, according to a report from the Straits Times. Mamunah Mohd Sharif, a former UN Habitat executive director, departed with little explanation in November, raising questions about transparency in city governance. Under her leadership, the city achieved its first budget surplus in over a decade and resolved more than 90% of public complaints. In the UK, police have been called to remove protesters from a Staffordshire County Council meeting this week in the midst of a storm over the social media activity of the former Reform UK leader of the council. Ian Cooper resigned on Tuesday following a party inquiry into posts allegedly linked to him. BBC News reported that another council member has been drawn into the controversy. Cabinet member Chris Large denies writing racist content on a shared TikTok account. Protesters demanded more resignations before they would leave. The council's acting leader condemned racism and promised complaints would be handled through proper standards processes. And the leader of Worcestershire County Council's Reform UK group has issued a legal threat to a Labor councillor, demanding he stop mentioning her name in public videos. BBC News reported that Councillor Ed Kimberley has been told to cease publishing content about Reform UK after posting clips criticising the party as the Nasty Party and denouncing right-wing extremism. Reform leader Joe Monk claims the videos have led to public harassment against her. In Canada, transit workers in Regina have voted 83% in favour of a strike mandate in response to proposed service cuts in the city's budget. The cuts include ending service at 10:30pm, removing 3 low ridership routes and reducing weekend express services. Timmins City Council has voted against reprimanding 2 councillors who were found to have violated the Code of Conduct. Councillors John Curley and Bill Vosdanovich made disparaging public comments about Mayor Michelle Boilio after she abruptly ended a council meeting in June. The city's Integrity Commissioner ruled the councillors violated the code, but the council voted 5-3 that the ruling itself was sanction enough. And Ottawa City Council has approved its 2026 budget with a vote of 21-4, according to CTV News. The budget includes a 3.75% property tax increase and a 2.5% transit fare increase. The council also approved free transit for riders 18 and under on weekends and holidays. That concludes another edition of the Roundup with news from all corners of Australia and from overseas. I hope you're a little more informed than you were before listening to today's episode. This was edition number 528, recorded on the morning of Friday the 12th of December 2025. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. We record in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We'll be moving to our summer schedule of episodes as the news requires. Look out for our next episode dropping very soon. Until then, thanks for listening and bye for now. Support for our podcast comes from Symphony 3, which has announced exciting news. It's launched its innovative Smart Glue platform on the AWS Marketplace. That makes the secure and affordable integration solution accessible to government agencies worldwide. The platform includes over 50 pre-built connectors specifically designed for public sector systems, government APIs, enterprise solutions and AWS services to transform citizen experiences by breaking down data silos. SmartGlue delivers operational excellence for local governments through cost reduction, process optimisation, improved decision-making and scalable architecture, all while maintaining comprehensive security and compliance standards required by public sector organisations. Get in touch to see how Symphony 3's expanded team and solutions can support your goals. Head to symphony3.com to find out more.